Hi everyone, this is Annindita. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a famous quote from Buddha where he says all of life is suffering. Honestly, when I first came across this quote, I thought it was a very negative quote and I couldn't even believe that this was actually something that was in fact Buddha's quote. And after quite some time, I realized the true meaning of why Buddha said this and what he actually meant. And in this video, I wanted to dive deeper into it because I'm sure somewhere or the other you might have come across the same quote where Buddha says all of life is suffering. And what he exactly means by that. Is he just being negative or is there a deeper meaning to this quote? So stay tuned. If you haven't already, then remember to subscribe to this channel and share this video with a friend or a family member who might also benefit from this. And let's get started. One of the most widely known teachings of Buddha is his statement, all of life is suffering. And this quote is often misunderstood at first glance, and it is very easy to just consider this to be a negative quote. And in this video, I want to explore deeper the meaning behind this profound statement and delve into Buddha's teachings on how to transcend this suffering. So first of all, we need to understand the concept of suffering in the context that Buddha was talking about. When Buddha spoke of suffering, he referred to a broader concept known as dukkha. In Pali, the language in which the teachings were originally recorded, dukkha means suffering. And while suffering is a common translation, dukkha encompasses a more nuanced understanding of the unsatisfactory nature of existence on planet Earth, or human existence rather. The dukkha does not imply that every moment of life is filled with acute pain and misery. Instead, it acknowledges that there is an inherent dissatisfaction and discontent in every aspect of human existence. Life is characterized by impermanence or change and the inability to find lasting fulfillment in this external world. The three forms of dukkha that the Buddha talks about, they manifest in three forms. One is just ordinary suffering. This refers to the physical and emotional pain, discomfort, and hardships we go through in life. It includes birth, aging, illness, disease, death, as well as experiences of loss, grief, and disappointment, which we all are pretty familiar with. Second is the suffering that happens due to change. This form of suffering arises from our attachment and resistance to the ever-changing nature of existence. We often cling to pleasant experiences, people, or circumstances and suffer when, of course, inevitably, it changes or slips away. Likewise, we resist or struggle against unpleasant experiences, causing further discontent. And the third suffering is existential suffering. This deeper level of suffering stems from the fundamental unsatisfactory nature of conditioned existence itself. And our desires, cravings, and the sense of an independent self-image or ego creates a perpetual state of dissatisfaction and restlessness. As we all know, the ego creates an image of ourselves in our minds, how we need to be perceived by others, how others need to behave with us, how things should go in our life, what should happen, what shouldn't happen. And of course, I'm sure you would agree that life doesn't always go our way. Life doesn't always happen exactly the way our ego wants it to happen. And when it doesn't, then that causes a lot of suffering. So now the obvious question that arises is, how do you escape this suffering? The Buddha's teachings offer a way to transcend suffering and attain what he calls liberation, also known as nirvana. So here are the key principles and practices for finding freedom from dukkha or suffering. The path that the Buddha talks about is also referred to as the Four Noble Truths. And the Buddha talks about it as the foundational framework for understanding suffering and how to put a stop to it. And these truths are: number one, acknowledging the reality of suffering. Number two, understand the causes and origins of suffering, primarily craving and attachment. And in fact, I have spoken about the concept of attachment and aversion or craving and attachment in my previous videos. If you haven't seen them, then you can check it out right here under the law of detachment. Number 3 is to realize that end of suffering is possible, and it is possible for anybody. And number 4 is to follow the eightfold path to cultivate a way of living that leads to the end of suffering. The eightfold path, as outlined by Gautama Buddha, are practical steps to end suffering and to attain liberation. And it consists of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The practice of mindfulness and insight meditation, also known as Vipassana, plays a very important role in understanding the nature of suffering and transcending it. And by cultivating awareness and non-judgmental observation of our thoughts, emotions, and sensations, we develop a deeper insight into the impermanent nature of everything that exists around us. And alongside meditation, the cultivation of wisdom and compassion is also another factor that the Buddha emphasized on in his teachings. Wisdom helps us see through the illusory nature of attachments and cravings. It helps us to see through the illusion of this whole reality, while compassion allows us to develop empathy and connection with all beings, reducing our self-centeredness or our ego attachments and contributing to the end of suffering in the world. And the Buddha also emphasized the importance of letting go of attachments and desires that bind us to suffering. By cultivating detachment and non-attachment, in other words, we free ourselves from constant cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. Engaging in ethical conduct, known as right action, is another integral path to the liberation as per the teachings of Buddha. By refraining from harming others, practicing honesty, and cultivating generosity and kindness, we create harmonious relationships and contribute to the well-being of everyone. And equanimity is another essential part of Buddha's teachings, which is the ability to remain balanced and calm in the face of life's ups and downs. And that is a crucial quality to cultivate as well, because by developing equanimity, we can reduce our reactivity to external circumstances, which in turn frees us from the emotional roller coaster of joy and sorrow that we all experience in our everyday life. Something goes according to our plan, we are happy. Something doesn't go according to our plan, we are so sad. The roller coaster of emotions that we feel can be greatly balanced by the practice of equanimity. So as you can see, the true meaning of Buddha's quote, that all of life is suffering, goes beyond a simplistic understanding of misery. It points to the inherent nature of existence and the pervasive presence of discomfort in human existence. However, the Buddha's teachings also offer a path to transcend the suffering. By understanding the causes and origins of suffering, cultivating mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion, and following the eightfold path, we can liberate ourselves from the cycle of suffering. This journey towards liberation requires dedication, discipline, self-reflection, and consistent practice. But it offers the promise of profound peace, freedom, and the realization of our true nature. So I hope today's video helped you in understanding the true meaning of this very famous quote from Buddha, that all of life is suffering. It is actually not a negative perspective about life, but it is a very deep observation that Buddha made about how our attachments and aversions eventually lead to a lot of suffering in our life, and how by letting go of these attachments and aversions, we can actually release ourselves from these emotional roller coaster. If you liked today's video, then like it, share it with someone who might also enjoy it, and remember to subscribe to my channel. Also, if meditation is something that you have been thinking of diving deeper into, then I would highly recommend checking out my meditation mastery program. The link is in the description below. Also check out my meditation library. The library comprises of a lot of individual meditations which are specific to certain problems or situations in life. And based on whatever it is that you are currently working on, you might very well find the perfect meditation for your situation. And if there is a specific situation that you would want to see a meditation on, then write that in the comment below or reach out to me, and maybe in the future I will go ahead and create meditation and have it available in the meditation library as well. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.